Good morning to all of our staff, students, community partners, and especially our parents, guardians, and caregivers. And welcome to Northwood High School and the DCC Family Forum on Fentanyl. I am John Garrick, the proud principal of Northwood, and it is an honor to provide our home as we unite to combat this deadly epidemic and keep our students and communities safe. The ultimate goal of school is to keep students healthy and safe so they can learn and be the next generation of leaders. With the proliferation of fentanyl in our communities, this task is getting harder. Substance use takes a toll on everyone in our community, students, parents, guardians, caregivers, and staff, and negatively impacts the learning environment. Most importantly, it is endangering the lives of our students. This is a pervasive issue. It is in every high school in the county and in every community. It does not discriminate and can affect any student or adult. I speak on behalf of the Northwood community, the Down County Consortium, and all of my principal colleagues when I say how important it is the system as a whole is taking a stand against this issue and working with a broad collective of community organizations. Please use today's forum for understanding, education, and action. At this time, we would like to pause and provide an opportunity for any elected or appointed official to please stand and be recognized. We appreciate your commitment and support in this work.
Buenos días a nuestros padres, estudiantes, tutores, guardianes, personal escolar y a nuestros socios comunitarios. Y bienvenidos al foro familiar sobre el fentanilo de las escuelas Northwood y de las escuelas de DCC. Soy Adela Jiménez, representante de la Oficina Médica para el Sistema Escolar. Estamos reunidos hoy día como comunidad para combatir la epidemia del consumo de drogas conteniendo el fentanilo, que cada día se nos hace más difícil. Nuestra meta como comunidad escolar es cultivar un ambiente sano y seguro para nuestros estudiantes. Y el uso de sustancia se nos hace más difícil. Nos prohíbe mantener a nuestras escuelas seguras para ambos estudiantes y personal. Hoy día estamos aquí para elevar el tema y unirnos como comunidad, poniendo nuestras manos a la obra para apoyar a nuestros jóvenes. Gracias por su asistencia.
At this time, we would like to welcome Ms. Laura Mitchell, Chair of Montgomery Goes Purple.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see this turnout to have these conversations. While I'm saddened that we have to, I wish we didn't, I am glad that we are having the conversations. We're talking about it because that is the best thing that we can do to combat this, to talk with our children, to talk with our families, talk with our loved ones, community members, because this is everywhere. It doesn't discriminate, doesn't care what school you go to, what county you live in, what state you live in, it doesn't care. It affects everybody. And I would wager to bet that at least 90% of us in this room have been touched in one way or another. I have been personally, and that's why this is my passion. My son spent 15 years in active substance use, and fortunately, he is 7.5 years in recovery now. Thank you. We're one of the very, very lucky ones because many, many do not survive this. So it is important that we do this preventative work and have these conversations and learn how to do that using appropriate language so we don't build walls that keep people from asking for help or accepting help. So last year in April, Judge Mary Elsa Bernard and I founded Montgomery Goes Purple to celebrate Recovery Month in September and to work on prevention throughout the year. So thank you for being here. I really, really do hope that you get a lot from today. Please pay attention to the signs that we have about the language that we're using, because that's really important. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to welcome the Honorable Carla Silvestri, Montgomery County Board of Education President.
Good morning. So good to see you all here today. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us to learn about this very important topic. Muy buenos días. Muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes por hacer un poco de tiempo en el día de hoy para aprender sobre este tema tan importante. I want to begin by recognizing again our elected officials that are here, starting out with Gabe Albornoz, County Council Member, and County Council Member Natalie Fanny Gonzalez. One more round of applause for them today. And my fellow board members, if they could please stand and be recognized, Julie Yang, Shebra Evans, and Lynn Harris. We're here today to learn about the dangers of fentanyl and how to protect our students. Estamos aquí el día de hoy para aprender sobre el peligro que es esta droga fentanil y cómo podemos proteger a nuestros niños, nuestros estudiantes. The use and death of fentanyl and opioids was alarmingly high in Maryland before the pandemic. And now it's impacting our young people even more, a 78% increase in deaths in young people by overdose in 2022 alone. El uso de drogas opioides y muertes por opioides estaba muy alto antes de la pandemia y ahora está afectando a nuestros jóvenes aún más. Ha habido un aumento de muertes por sobredosis de 78% solo en el año 2022. This is an international problem. This is a countrywide problem. This is a Montgomery County problem. And MCPS cannot handle it alone. And that's why we are here together to tackle it head on. Este es desafortunadamente un problema internacional, un problema nacional, un problema local, y las escuelas no lo pueden manejar solas. Así que por eso estamos aquí juntos, para enfrentarlo todos juntos. And that's why we're here as a community to tackle it, because one death more is too many. Por eso estamos aquí, para enfrentarlo todos juntos, porque una muerte más es demasiado, no se puede tolerar. Speaking of coming together, I want to thank you, first and foremost, our parents and our students and our community for being here, but also for our partners, Montgomery Goes Purple, the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, a critical partner, our police department, a critical partner, and I always want to thank Montgomery County Television because they're making this available so our families and our students can also watch it from all over the county. Hablando de cómo trabajamos juntos, quiero darle las gracias a ustedes, padres de familia, comunidad y estudiantes, por estar aquí el día de hoy para educarnos. Y también a la organización Montgomery Goes Purple, al Departamento de Salud del Condado de Montgomery y a nuestro Departamento de Policía, que también es un socio muy importante. Y siempre le doy las gracias a la Montgomery County Televisión porque están transmitiendo este evento en vivo para todos que nos pueden ver por internet, por la computadora, desde sus casas. Here in MCPS, we are educators first and foremost. So today we will learn about fentanyl, this deadly drug, learn about the resources that are available to help. We will learn about Narcan and how to use it during an overdose. Aquí en las escuelas del Condado de Montgomery somos educadores, así que hoy vamos a educarnos, vamos a aprender sobre esta droga tan fatal, los recursos que están disponibles, cómo podemos usar el Narcan para salvarle la vida a alguien que tiene una sobredosis. I believe prevention is the best medicine. So by being here and learning about all this, we are already on the right path to prevent any more overdoses among our children. Yo siempre creo que la prevención es la mejor medicina. Así que estando aquí el día de hoy para aprender y educarnos, ya estamos en un buen camino para prevenir la terrible muerte de un niño más en nuestra comunidad. Thank you so much for listening. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí el día de hoy.
At this time, we would like to welcome Dr. McNeefa McKnight, Superintendent of Montgomery County Public Schools.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. Standing from this part of the auditorium, it truly is a beautiful sight. It's a Saturday morning, and I know there are many things that we all could be doing, but the fact that we've come together this morning as a community to say that we have to address a problem that is impacting our community, our schools, our children, and we have to do that together says a lot about who we are. So I am so grateful that you are here this morning and participating with us, alongside us, in an issue that has impacted our community. So as I talk about all of us being here together this morning, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that we all have such a critical role in this together. And we've already acknowledged our county government leaders. We so appreciate you for standing with us as a school system and saying that this is a problem that we have to address in the entire community, and the school system is a part of that, but we're going to best do that together. And our Board of Education members have been consistent in saying this is a part of what we have to do to protect our students' well-being overall so that they can learn and thrive and be college and community ready. And our students, too, have just been a part of leading this effort. And actually, I'm going to ask every student, every MCPS student that is here today, please stand. Thank you. And so I wanted them to stand because I wanted you to see that so many of them are committed to solving this problem. They are here. They understand the power and the influence that they have as young people and their voices. And we actually cannot tackle any issue involving our youth without them. And so I just want to say to our students, you are simply amazing. Thank you. We can do none of this without you. And we appreciate all that you do to help us solve the problems within our community, within MCPS and Montgomery County. Thank you so much. And they're just beautiful, beautiful human beings. This is why we love them. You know, they start out as these little packages, babies, and then they grow into these large, powerful human beings that go into the world and do great things, and it's our job to continue to nurture and cultivate that. So next, I'm going to ask our parents, if you are a parent in MCPS and you are here today, please stand. Thank you. I asked you to stand because I know that we have to solve problems within our community, but I just talked about these bundles of joy that we start with that grow into large human beings, and anything that brings a possible threat to them, okay? Because I'm a mama bear, I understand. Anything that brings a possible threat to them, we have to have a fierce reaction to it. Because our job as parents is to make sure that our children can grow and become those powerful individuals that I just mentioned. And so today, as we come together in this forum, We are talking about something that is a threat to our children and in our community. And so that means our actions in terms of how we have to respond to that must be powerful and relentless. And so today, as we share and hear information and share ideas about how we do this, let's continue to keep our roles on the forefront in terms of how our first job is to protect our children and make sure that they have the opportunity to have access to everything they need and deserve, and anything that gets in the way of that requires our dedicated attention so that we can do due diligence for them. Parents, I want to thank you because I know that it's also, being a parent is one of the most joyous things that we can do, but it's also hard and it's scary at times. But what I do know is that we lean on one another and we figure out ways to do it best on behalf of our children, and know that the school system, Board of Education, stands committed to you to work alongside you to make sure we're protecting the children within our community. The last group I wanted to ask to stand was MCPS staff. Many of you are parents, so you may be standing twice. If you're an MCPS staff member, please stand. All positions. And thank you for clapping for them. They're all here because despite their positions, whether they are teachers, counselors, administrative assistants, medical officers, executive directors, central office staff, safety and security, chiefs, it doesn't matter what it is, superintendent, our job is to make a commitment to bring the care, the concern, and the strategy to everything that we need to do to accomplish our goals of the system. And that requires everyone's job to be a part of that, every single one in the school system. So they're all here today. I see our principals in the audience as well from all different levels. We're all here today because we recognize that it has to be everyone's contribution collectively to help solve this problem in our community. And so I want to thank them for being here and always showing up and being committed to the work that we have to do for our students. So thank you so much. Yeah. So I wanted to first just thank you because I know that this is not going to be a quick fix, nor will it be an easy one. It hasn't been this far. But I want you to remember this moment of gratitude, even in the times in which you get tired and say, can I go out and participate? Can I do this? And the answer is yes, because we need you, and we can't get weary, and we can't get tired until we solve this entire problem in our community. And Montgomery County, I saw on the news this morning when I was getting ready to come, everybody was saying Montgomery County, they are having a forum today, and this is their second forum. And don't forget, after our first press conference, I did notice that, after that, we start to see many other jurisdictions having the conversation. But that's what we do, right? What do we do in Montgomery County? We lead. We lead on issues, and we're transparent about the issues that we have because we know we have to lead into the power of our community to help us solve this. And as we get into our panel discussion, I'm looking at Dr. Kapunen when I hired her a year ago, and I was hiring her to help us figure out a way through and out of COVID-19. One of the things she said in her interview is COVID-19 is just one part of it. There are many other issues that we have got to think about to take care of the well-being of our children. That's why she's here. That's why she's here. I mean, I interview many people, but I walked out of the room saying, she gets it. It's not just the problem that's directly in front of us, but it's all of the impact of all the other issues that will become a part of what we have to do because of COVID-19. And so, as a superintendent, I asked her to work with school leaders, county leaders, and to come together to lead on this issue, and that is what they have done. And so since the first week of school this year, when we were out in Rockville and in many other places celebrating Montgomery Goes Purple, we talked about the importance of partnering with government across many agencies to solve this problem in Montgomery County and how much we cared about it. And we had our last forum, I believe it was last month, at Clarksburg High School. We had over 1,500 people participate. To me, that number alone said people need solutions, they have questions, and they want to know what to do in these situations. So today is just an extension of that. I look forward to us continuing to have those conversations about how we develop solutions together, how we protect our children, and how we all do that with the resources and support that we need to be successful. Yes, as a life-saving measure, we do have Narcan available in every single one of our schools with someone registered to be able to administer that by a trained personnel person, and we've had that in our schools since 2018, 2019. But the fact of the matter is, we don't want to have to use Narcan as much as we are having to use it. We've got to get to the root of the problem in terms of why our students or anyone in our community feels like this is something that is solving a bigger issue for them. We've got to be able to address that. So I look forward to our continued engagement. I end with thanking you again for your commitment, for your care, for our children and our community, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as we continue to address this problem of fentanyl and any other issues that arise that impact the well-being of our children, within our community, our staff, and our families. Thank you so much again for being here today. I appreciate you.
At this time, we would like to turn the program over to Ms. Laura Mitchell and Ms. Melissa Rivera to lead us in a panel presentation, including Dr. Patricia Kapunian, Montgomery County Public Schools System Medical Officer, Mr. Ed Clark, Montgomery County Public Schools Chief Safety Officer, and Dr. Cara Grant, Supervisor of MCPS K-12 Adaptive Physical Education, Health, and Physical Education.
Good morning. I will echo the accolades for from Dr. McKnight for Dr. Kapunen and Dr. Grant and Ed Clark. They're all wonderful partners in this. And our first question goes to Dr. Kapunen. Can you please give us a quick overview of what's happening at our schools and in the community with fentanyl and other substances?
La primera pregunta para la doctora Kapunen es que si nos podría dar una breve explicación sobre qué está pasando en nuestras escuelas y en la comunidad con el fentanilo y otras sustancias.
We could have our next slide, please. So you've heard already about the increase in youth-related opioid overdoses in the country. This is an international problem. As Ms. Silvestre shared with us, it's a national problem, but it's something that we're also seeing in Montgomery County, and that's why we are calling to action.
Como la mencionó Carla Silvestre, la presidenta del Consejo de Educación, la crisis de fentanilo es un problema nacional, pero también a nivel local aquí en el condado de Montgomery, y por eso es que estamos tomando acción.
You've heard about the importance of community collaboration and how we're working with county and community leaders all across Montgomery County. And you may be asking, what do those collaborations look like?
¿Ha escuchado la importancia de la cooperación entre distintas agencias y cómo se ve esa cooperación, cómo funciona esa cooperación?
As a community coalition, our goals are to work together to raise awareness, provide resources, empower you, our community, as well as to increase awareness of and access to life-saving medications like Narcan.
Como comunidad lo que queremos es crear conciencia, proveer recursos y orientar a la comunidad sobre el Narcan, naloxona y cómo se usa.
Next slide, please. So you've heard about Montgomery Goes Purple, our community collaboration that has been working for several years on this issue. We are fortunate to have great representation from our parent organizations, including the MCCPTA, to help us in this work. And our partners, the Department of Health and Human Services, who run and supervise schools' health services on our campuses, we also work with them to do outreach in schools, to run substance use prevention groups, and we depend on their expertise to bring more awareness, education, and supports in our schools. We have relationships with other community partners who also help connect our students and families to important resources and have critical relationships with our public safety officials to help keep our schools safe.
ha escuchado de la cooperación y la coalición Montgomery Goes Purple, que incluye un conjunto de agencias del gobierno y organizaciones sin fines de lucros, como el Departamento de Salud y Servicios Humanos del Condado de Montgomery, quienes son los que administran las clínicas en las escuelas. Nos proveen herramientas para concienciación de las escuelas y recursos en los que podamos conectar a los estudiantes de necesitar alguna ayuda o recurso en las escuelas.
Thank you. Our next question goes to Dr. Cara-Grant. What is MCPS doing to educate students and families about fentanyl and other substance use-related issues?
La próxima pregunta es para la doctora Cara-Grant. ¿Qué está haciendo MCPS para concientizar a los estudiantes sobre el fentanilo y el uso de otras sustancias?
Thank you. Next slide, please. Health education is one of the annual prevention strategies that MCPS uses for this very important issue that we're dealing with right now.
El currículo de la salud y la prevención es uno de los claves en el currículo de MCPS para atacar este problema.
Health education is received by our students every year, K to 8. And additionally, we've actually doubled the amount of health education that students will receive in high school for the class of 2025 with a full year graduation requirement.
La educación sobre salud está inmersa en el currículo de kinder a grado 12 y en este próximo año escolar vamos a duplicar el curso de salud y de educación en salud.
As with that core requirement, we're fortunate to have students receive information annually pre-K through 8, as well as in high school on substance use and misuse, fentanyl and opioids, and that's age-appropriate instruction. So with our elementary students, they're not receiving fentanyl explicitly, but they're learning about medicines in the home, that medicines versus candy, and to be able to differentiate what they're using, what needs to be used using drug facts labels and other information. So being able to differentiate and work with that trusted adult at home.
El currículo para escuelas elementales y secundarias es diferenciado. Estudiantes en escuela elemental aprenden sobre medicina y sobre el uso correcto de medicina, mientras que estudiantes en secundaria van un poco más, están más inmersos en lo que es el fentanilo, el uso de fentanilo y los riesgos.
In our secondary schools, we're very explicit about the psychological and physical effects. We're also very explicit about the content, and we use and leverage partner information and increasing data and get that directly to our health education teachers so that they stay current and bring current information and content to our students.
Ya para la secundaria somos un poco más directos en el currículo y hablamos específicamente de los riesgos del fentanilo. De otro lado, también a los maestros y educadores se les provee herramientas para que puedan ofrecer estos cursos de manera que puedan llegar a los estudiantes.
We know that we need to constantly improve and increase, and we're doing that. We're making sure that our students are getting access to this content. We know how stressful this is for you at home, for you as students facing challenges that you don't know how to deal with. And so with that, our curriculum, our content that we teach students has health literacy skills. It teaches them about communication, about decision-making, goal setting, self-management, and being able to advocate for self or others. And what that looks like is all the community resources here. How can I ask for help? What if my friend has an issue? How can I help my friend? What if someone in my family or my house has an issue? How can I help them? What are the resources in my community that I can use and access?
Continuamente mantenemos actualizado el currículo y sabemos que en ocasiones es difícil hablar sobre estos temas, por eso se tocan temas como cómo ayudar a tu amigo, cómo identificar recursos, cómo acceder a recursos, pero básicamente se actualiza constantemente la información y los talleres que le damos a los maestros para que puedan llegar a los estudiantes.
And lastly, I just want to thank you for being here and thank you for taking time to be at this event because this is an advocacy event, and thank you to the students for being here, for being advocates for yourself. Just being present here is you demonstrating self-management, is you demonstrating advocacy, and that means the world to all of us. So thank you for that, and be sure to engage with the community partners and make those connections and bring the information back to your peers at school of what you learned today.
Agradecemos muchísimo su presencia aquí. Sabemos que es un trabajo de comunidad y de advocacia. Por favor, les orientamos a que busquen los recursos que están disponibles por nuestros socios de la comunidad y los compartan con amigos y con vecinos para poder expandir el programa y poder llegar a más personas.
The last thing I wanted to say is we're in a constant state of improvement, so please go down to the gym today, check out the Narcan, naloxone training. That's something that we're looking at to expand curriculum to see how can we teach students about these opportunities as well. Thank you.
También los orientamos a que visiten el gimnasio y que puedan orientarse sobre el uso de naloxona o Narcan y que pues conozcan más sobre este medicamento que contrarresta una posible dosis. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. And by the way, these questions came from our participants. These are ones that you submitted online and that families and students are asking. Our next question goes to Mr. Ed Clark, and that is, what is being done about safety in schools, especially as it relates to the bathrooms?
La próxima pregunta es para el señor Ed Clark y se trata sobre qué está haciendo las escuelas, qué está haciendo MCPS para la seguridad en las escuelas, especialmente en los baños o sanitarios.
Thank you, Laura. I'd like to just cover a couple of responses to that question.
Muchísimas gracias, Laura. Quiero ofrecer varias respuestas a esa pregunta.
School safety procedures, including measures for school restrooms, are currently being examined with input from our students, staff, and most importantly, as well, our parents.
Las medidas de seguridad para los baños o sanitarios están siendo evaluadas en conjunto con nuestra comunidad. Incluye estudiantes, padres y empleados.
We are increasing visual and frequent checks of our restrooms throughout the school day to ensure our restrooms continue to be available for use as intended.
Estamos incrementando las inspecciones visuales de los baños para asegurar que estén siendo utilizados de manera correcta y que puedan estar disponibles para los estudiantes cuando lo necesiten.
Access to designated restrooms may be limited during transitions or at more unstructured times, such as after-school activities.
Del mismo modo, también se están haciendo inspecciones en los baños cuando hay actividades luego del horario escolar.
We are also installing exterior latches to ensure the doors remain open in our secondary school restrooms.
También estamos instalando dispositivos para asegurarnos que las puertas de los baños permanezcan abiertas, especialmente en las escuelas secundarias.
We always want to respect the privacy of our students using restrooms while we ensure their safety every day.
Queremos recordar que nuestra prioridad es garantizar la seguridad y privacidad de los estudiantes mientras están utilizando los baños.
Our restrooms must continue to be safe places for students, and they cannot be spaces for activities that violate our code of conduct, such as drug and tobacco use.
Los baños en las escuelas deben de continuar siendo lugares seguros y no se va a permitir que se utilicen para situaciones o cosas que estén en contra de nuestro código de estudiantes, código de seguridad de estudiantes.
And I just want to thank everyone for being here today to help us ensure that we keep our students, our staff, and our schools safe every day. Thank you.
Quiero agradecer a todos que están aquí y gracias por ayudarnos a mantener seguros los estudiantes, el personal y nuestra comunidad. Gracias.
And for our last question, and probably the most asked question, we're going back to Dr. Kay. What can we, all of us, our community members, do to help?
La última pregunta para la doctora Kapunen, ¿qué puede hacer la comunidad para ayudar?
So I echo everyone's sentiments that showing up today is what we are doing. Everything on the slide is we talk about today, and showing up and starting this conversation is how youth and parents are going to use the superpowers that they already have to support each other, to support their family members, and to be part of this community-wide effort.
Lo primero que tienen que hacer y lo primero que se debe hacer para ayudar en la comunidad es estar aquí, estar presente, tener información de los recursos y obtener información para saber cómo ayudar.
knowing the facts, talking to your children, youth talking to each other, and driving home the point that we are not alone. Mental health and substance use can make you feel so alone. Professionals, as we try to figure out how to work within our spaces, we can feel so alone and that we're not doing enough. And that is why we talk over and over about the importance of working together as a community, engaging our parents, engaging our youth, because we know that these relationships and the importance of these roles that we already have in each other's lives are how we are going to see this through together.
Lo más importante es conocer los hechos, orientarse, obtener la información, y la doctora menciona que tal vez trabajar con un tema de uso o abuso de sustancias puede ser un poco, te puede hacer sentir aislado o puede ser un poco solitario, y en este caso es importante que como comunidad tengamos las personas y las conexiones para hablar sobre estos temas, y ella quiere recordarles a todas las personas que no están solos. Hay recursos y hay comunidades que le pueden ayudar, porque esto es un problema de la comunidad y con soluciones en la comunidad.
Next slide, please. In Montgomery County, we have some unique resources when we're trying to get connected to help. Montgomery Goes Purple, our community coalition, has collated a lot of these resources online.
En el condado de Montgomery hay muchísimos recursos, y regresamos a Montgomery Goes Purple. Tienen una página de internet y tienen muchísimos recursos que brindan información y apoyo en caso de uso o abuso de sustancias.
Our county health department, through the Child and Adolescent Assessment Services Program, which you might have known in the past as SASCA, provides free substance use evaluations for any child or adolescent in Montgomery County.
El Departamento de Salud del Condado de Montgomery, a través del Servicio de Evaluación de Niños y Adolescentes, provee recursos específicamente para niños y adolescentes. Ahí está la página de internet para que puedan entrar y ver más información.
And there's also a national helpline that provides free and confidential services at any time, not just about substance use, but mental health resources as well.
También hay una línea nacional con información sobre recursos de abuso de sustancias y también recursos de salud mental.
Next slide, please. One really important thing that I want you to know is how to access emergency services. You've heard of 911. 988 is an emergency service for mental health emergencies.
Queremos recordarles que hay un número muy importante que es el 988, que ofrece servicios en caso de crisis de salud mental y ofrece servicios en español también.
You can connect to it by phone, text, or even IM on their website. We also have the Montgomery County Crisis Center that you can walk into anytime, call, and they have a mobile crisis unit if they need to help someone who cannot come to the crisis center.
El servicio de 988 está disponible por mensaje de texto, por llamada o a través de la página de internet. Puede conectarse y hacer una llamada. También el Centro de Crisis del Condado de Montgomery puede llegar sin cita y ofrece servicio las 24 horas del día, los 7 días a la semana. Y también tienen personal que habla español.
And MCPS has launched an app that you can install on your smartphone that we're developing with the help of our community to get them better connected to resources, but also has a single button that connects you to 988.
Las escuelas del Condado de Montgomery también tienen una aplicación que está disponible en los dispositivos Android y Apple. Se llama MCPS, Estudiante Más Fuerte, Stronger Student. Está disponible en múltiples idiomas y también tiene un botón de acceso directo a servicios de salud. Está dirigida a los estudiantes, pero cualquier persona puede descargar la aplicación.
Lastly, I'd like to also thank you for showing up today, showing your commitment to our community and to each other.
Finalmente, quiero agradecerles muchísimo a toda la comunidad y a todos ustedes por venir y por dedicar la mañana para aprender sobre este tema. Muchísimas gracias.
And I want to thank our leaders for showing to our community how important this is to us. I want to thank Dr. Garrick and his team, and also Stephanie Izzard. I don't know if she's here. She's the executive officer of my team, who's the mastermind of all of this.
Quiero agradecer al principal de Norwood, Dr. Garrick, y también a Stephanie Izar, directora en la Oficina de Servicios Médicos. Gracias, Stephanie.
And all of our MCPS personnel who made this event happen today. Thank you guys all.
Thank you.
If we could have our final slide for our breakout sessions. So at this time, we would like to review our breakout sessions. Breakout session 1, our English language session, will be in our gym. Breakout session 2, our Spanish language session, will be in the cafeteria.
La sesión concurrente número 2, que será exclusivamente en español, será en la cafetería.
And breakout session 3, our student-only session, will be in our auxiliary gym. And one final reminder before we go, we do also have a vaccination clinic on site today.
La sesión número 3, que es exclusivamente para estudiantes, será... where's number 3? I'm sorry.
Auxiliary gym.
En el gimnasio auxiliar, es exclusivamente para estudiantes, y también vamos a tener clínicas de vacunación.
Thank you all once again, and please join your chosen breakout session for understanding, education, and action. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias a todos. Gracias.
Good job, Alec. Good job.
You ready? Oh, I think they're ready for me. Oh, he's coming? Okay, all right.
Like I said, he'll get up here,
Yes.
get situated.
Okay.
We'll go back there where they say, you'll hear me when you got to go.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us and sticking around for our opioid response training, which we're going to train you on how to identify the signs and symptoms of an opioid overdose, but also how to administer Narcan.
Buenos días a todos, gracias por estar acá. Nosotros vamos a presentar sobre el programa de cómo responder a la sobredosis de los opios.
I am your trainer, Ben Stevenson II, Prevention and Harm Reduction Manager for Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services.
Y mi nombre es Viviana Azar, yo trabajo para el Departamento de Salud y Servicios Sociales del Condado de Montgomery.
All right, next slide. Okay, so what we're going to briefly cover is what fentanyl is. We'll talk about recognizing the signs and symptoms of an overdose, and then we'll talk about responding to the overdose, the use of Narcan, the importance of rescue breathing, contacting EMS, and caring for the individual.
La agenda para hoy del programa breve es poder describir qué es un opioide, qué es el fentanilo, poder reconocer cuando hay una sobredosis y cómo responder a una sobredosis de opioides.
Okay. Next slide. All right, so what is an opioid? Next slide.
¿Qué es un opioide?
All right, so it's any drug that contains opium or its derivative, natural or synthetic. It can be a prescription medication or an illegal drug. It can come in pill form, capsule, powder, or liquid. It can be swallowed, smoked, snorted, or injected.
El opioide es cualquier droga que contenga opio o sus derivados. Puede ser natural o sintética, pueden ser medicinas recetadas o drogas ilícitas, píldoras, cápsulas, polvo o líquidos, y puede ser tragada, tomada, bebida, fumada, inhalada o inyectada.
Okay. So a natural form of an opiate is an opiate, and that is an example of that could be morphine or codeine. A synthetic form of that is fentanyl, or something that is man-made, something that is made in a lab. Sorry.
El derivado el fentanil es un derivado de los opioides. I think ese es el resumen.
Okay. Next slide. Okay, so these medications are used to manage pain, suppress a person's cough, treat opioid use disorder. They can cause feelings of euphoria, contentment, and detachment. And a key piece to knowing about opioids is that the effects can last between 3 to 24 hours.
Los opioides se usan para manejar el dolor, suprimir la tos o tratar los trastornos por consumo de opioides. Y pueden causar una sensación de euforia, satisfacción o desapego. Los efectos pueden durar de 3 a 24 horas. En sumas excesivas, los opioides pueden suprimir la necesidad de una persona para poder respirar.
Next slide. All right, so this here is just a clear example of what a lethal dose of heroin and what a lethal dose of fentanyl looks like. So we notice that only a small amount of fentanyl is enough to actually take a person's life, unfortunately.
Estas fotos les ilustra cuál es la dosis normal de heroína o fentanyl What did you say at the end?
Lethal dose of fentanyl and heroin.
Sí.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next slide. Okay, so we do have illegally produced non-pharmaceutical fentanyl, which is illicitly produced synthetic drug and can come looking like a pill package to look just like prescription medications that we get from our doctor. Can also come in powder form looking similar to heroin. And we know that fentanyl plus heroin is a deadly combination, which has been a part of a lot of our overdoses that we've seen in the county.
Okay. Los opioides ilegales son aquellos que se fabrican fuera de las farmacias y se producen ilegalmente. Es una droga sintética que se presenta como píldoras que se parecen a las medicinas que se recetan y también puede estar en forma de polvo y se ve similar a la heroína. El fentanilo con la heroína puede ser una combinación mortal. Fentanil es cientos de veces más potente que la heroína.
Next slide. Something that's very alarming that has come out recently is rainbow fentanyl. It is brightly colored pills to look similar to like ecstasy or other prescription medications, and it comes in the pill. It can come in a powder form, and it could also look similar to like sidewalk chalk, which has professionals across the country very alarmed about this drug.
Una de las situaciones más alarmantes recientemente es que el fentanil lo están vendiendo como unas píldoras multicolores que pueden parecerse al éxtasis y pueden ser píldoras, polvo o también bloques que se parecen tizas de colores.
Next slide. But also, these criminal drug organizations are mass producing these fake pills and falsely marketing them as legitimate medications. They are looking similar to like our Percocets that a doctor might prescribe. They're looking similar to like the Xanaxes that are prescribed by a doctor, and they're looking similar to the Adderalls that a child may get prescribed for ADHD or something like that. So you really can't trust your eyes when obtaining a prescription medication off the street.
Las redes de drogas criminales están produciendo en masa píldoras falsas y las están llevando al mercado, las están vendiendo como píldoras recetadas, que pueden parecerse al Percocet, a las medicinas para la ansiedad como el Xanax y al Oxycontin. O sea que la exposición a estas drogas ilícitas es muy similar a las medicinas que se prescriben normalmente.
Next slide. All right, so recognizing an opioid overdose. Next slide.
¿Cómo reconozco una sobredosis de opioides?
So an overdose happens when a toxic amount of an opioid overwhelms the body's ability to handle it. This happens when the opioid is used alone or with other drugs, other substances like mixing with prescription painkillers, heroin, benzos such as Percocets, or even with cocaine or alcohol.
Entonces, ¿cómo sé que es una sobredosis de opioide? Es cuando los opioides ocurren cuando hay una cantidad tóxica de un opioide que supera la capacidad del cuerpo para manejarlo. Y esto también puede pasar en combinación con otras drogas, como el Percocet y la heroína y otras sustancias. Muchas sobredosis relacionadas con opioides resultan al mezclar también analgésicos recetados con otros con benzodiazepinas o con cocaína o alcohol.
Next slide. All right, what leads to the overdose is respiratory failure, so lack of sufficient oxygen in the blood. The vital organs like the heart and the brain start to fail, and then it leads to unconsciousness, coma, or death. And we know that surviving an opioid overdose, key is breathing and oxygen.
Okay. ¿Qué lleva a que la sobredosis sea mortal? La insuficiencia respiratoria, la falta de suficiente oxígeno en la sangre, los órganos vitales como el corazón y el cerebro comienzan a fallar y conduce a la inconsciencia, la coma o la muerte. Sobrevivir a una sobredosis de opioide es poder respirar y tener oxígeno.
Next slide. All right. So the signs and symptoms of an opioid overdose, so it's slow, shallow, or no breathing, unresponsive, unconscious, loud snoring or gurgling noises. The person's body could be very limp, so they struggle with the ability to sit up. Lips, fingertips turn blue or gray. Skin could be pale or clammy, and the pulse could be slow or erratic.
¿Cuáles son las señales o síntomas de una sobredosis de opioides? Respiración lenta, superficial o sin respiración, insensibilidad, inconsciente, ruidos fuertes de ronquidos o gorgoteos, cuerpo flácido, los labios y la yema de los dedos se vuelven azules o grises, la piel pálida, gris, húmeda y pulso lento o errático.
Next slide. All right, so responding to the opioid overdose. Next slide.
¿Cómo responder a una sobredosis de opioide?
So one of the keys to responding to the overdose is naloxone. It is the reversal medication that hopefully restores breathing for the person, even only temporary. Naloxone only lasts for 30 minutes to 2 hours. It is safe for children and pregnant women, so there are no ill effects. There are 3 delivery mechanisms. You have intramuscular, intranasal, and intravenous. In Montgomery County, we only train on the intranasal version. No potential for misuse. No effects on someone who hasn't taken an opioid. So if someone has taken another substance that doesn't have an opioid in it, it won't do anything. And remember that naloxone is only effective on reversing an opioid overdose.
Okay. El naloxone o la naloxena es un medicamento que revierte la sobredosis de opioides restaurando la respiración. Desaparece en 30 minutos a 2 horas. Es seguro para niños y mujeres embarazadas. Se entrega de manera intramuscular, intranasal y intravenosa. En el condado nosotros usamos el intranasal. No hay posibilidad de cometer ningún error al usar el naloxone y no tiene ningún efecto en alguien que no ha tomado opioides. Los efectos secundarios son mínimos y raros y el naloxone solo es eficaz para revertir la sobredosis de opioides.
Next slide. All right, so storing your naloxone, so you want to make sure you keep it in its original packaging and ready to use when you need it. Keep it away from exposure from like extreme temperatures, so not leaving it in the car. Keeping it in a safe place away from children and pets. And naloxone does have an expiration date, so the kits that we provide today, I believe they expire in 2025. And so you want to make sure that you be mindful of that expiration date because if it expires, we, as the county DHHS, we can always replace your Narcan kit.
El almacenamiento de naloxone. No abra la naloxone hasta que esté lista para usar. Guárdela en el paquete original. Manténgala a temperatura ambiente, evite la exposición a la luz y manténgalo en un lugar seguro, lejos de niños y las mascotas, pero de fácil acceso en caso de emergencia. El vencimiento es muy importante, ya que pierde eficacia si pasa la fecha de vencimiento. Hoy les estamos dando kits que vencen en el 2025. Si en el 2025, si todavía lo necesitan, estén seguros de tener los nuevos kits a su alcance.
Next slide. All right, so how does the overdose happen? So basically, in our brains, we have opioid receptors. When a person takes an opioid, the opioid binds itself to the receptors, impacting a person's ability to breathe.
Okay. Esta es un poquito difícil para mí para traducir, pero básicamente lo que el opioide hace es bloquear bloquean los nervios o las... ¿alguien me ayuda? Los receptores que nos deja respirar. Mil disculpas.
Next slide. Okay, and naloxone reverses the overdose because it has a stronger affinity to the receptors in the brain. And so what it'll come in when you administer it, it'll kick the opioid off of the receptors, hopefully restoring breathing for a period of time.
Entonces, a los que hablan español pueden ver el dibujito que el naloxone lo que hace es, tiene más acceso a los receptores y hace que pueda prevenir que los opioides se instalen en los receptores.
Next slide. All right, so how do you respond to the opioid overdose? So you rouse and stimulate, you call 911, you give naloxone, you provide rescue breathing, and then you care for the person.
Entonces, ¿cómo responde a una sobredosis? Despierte y estimule al individuo. Llame al 911, aplique el naloxone, dé respiración de rescate y cuide a la persona después de dar la respiración de rescate.
Next slide. All right, so step 1, you rouse and stimulate. You make noise, you shake the person's shoulders. Are you all right? Wake up. If they do not wake up, you want to provide pain, so you want to do a sternum rub. So you make a fist and you rub your knuckles firmly up and down the breastbone, firmly enough that they might wake up.
Entonces, el primer paso es sacudir y estimular con ruido o sacudir los hombros de la persona y gritar, hey, hey, ¿estás bien? Despierta. Si eso no funciona, provocar dolor. Si frote el esternón, haga un puño y frote sus nudillos, firmemente arriba y abajo del esternón.
Next slide. Step 2, you call 911. Reason being, it is important to get medical help for the person experiencing an overdose. Remember, the naloxone is only temporary. The person may have complications or other health problems. They may need more naloxone. We've had instances in the county where a person needed up to 7 doses of naloxone to be administered to be revived. And it may be a non-opioid overdose.
Entonces recuerden que, segundo paso, siempre llamar al 911 para recibir asistencia médica, porque no sabemos cuánto el naloxone puede ayudar y qué tratamiento va a necesitar la persona después. Hubo instancias en el condado donde tuvieron que dar 7 naloxones para que la persona respondiera. Y además, el efecto del naloxone, recuerden que es temporal.
Next slide. All right, so step 3, you administer your naloxone. Next step, next slide.
Tercer paso, ¿cómo aplico el naloxone?
So we recommend you put on gloves, which in all of our kits you have gloves. You peel the tab back with the circle to open, which is like this. And then you hold the Narcan nasal spray, your thumb on the bottom of the plunger, and your first and middle finger on either side of the nozzle. So it's just like this. You're holding it just like this.
Okay. Instrucciones para usar el spray de nasal. Primero pónganse los guantes, desprenda la pestaña trasera con un círculo para abrir el spray nasal, sostenga el Narcan spray, ponga su pulgar en la parte inferior del émbolo y sus dedos índice y medio a ambos lados de la boquilla. Y está mejor que nosotros.
Next slide. All right, so you tilt the head back and support the person under the neck, gently inserting the tip of the nozzle into the nostril until your fingertips on either side of the nozzle are at the bottom of the nose. And then you press the plunger firmly enough and to administer that 1 dose of naloxone.
Siga los siguientes pasos. Incline la cabeza hacia atrás y apoya a la persona debajo del cuello. Inserte suavemente la punta de la boquilla en la fosa nasal hasta que sus dedos a cada lado de la boquilla estén contra la parte inferior de la nariz. Presione el émbolo firmemente y administrelo.
So after you administer that first dose of naloxone, you want to allow 1 to 3 minutes for it to work.
Después de dar la primera aplicación del naloxone, espere 1 a 3 minutos a ver si funciona.
Okay. While you're waiting for it to work,
mientras que espera que funcione,
next slide, you want to provide rescue breathing.
Quieren proveer respiración de rescate.
So lay the person face up on a flat surface if they're not already laying down.
Tengan a la persona en el suelo de manera llana.
Lift the chin and tilt the head to open the airway.
Levante el mentón para dejar espacio lo tengo traducido. Así que levanta el mentón, incline la cabeza para abrir las vías respiratorias.
Check to see if anything is blocking in the mouth, blocking the airway. If so, remove it.
Chequen si hay algo en la boca que esté bloqueando las canales de respiración y si hay algo, sáquelo.
In the kit, you have a one-way face shield.
En el kit tienen una pantalla que los ayuda para poder hacer la respiración boca a boca.
All right. Next slide. So you place the mask over the person's face,
Pongan la máscara sobre la persona,
pinch the nose shut, make a complete seal over the person's mouth with your mouth, and then blow 2 regular breaths, and then give 1 breath every 5 seconds. If the chest does not rise, you retilt the head, and then you give another rescue breath.
oprima la nariz para cerrarla, selle la boca de la persona con su boca, sople 2 respiraciones regulares, luego de una respiración cada 5 segundos, y si el pecho no se eleva, vuelva a inclinar la cabeza y dé otra respiración boca a boca.
Next slide. All right. So after that 1 to 3 minutes, if the person hasn't woken up, you have a second dose of Narcan in your kit. So you can administer that second dose after 3 minutes if the person hasn't woken up.
Okay. Entonces recuerden que ustedes tienen 2 naloxone en el kit. Entonces, si después de darle el naloxone, hacer la respiración artificial y la persona no se despierta, tienen otro naloxone.
If the person hasn't woken up after, you want to continue rescue breathing.
Entonces, después del segundo, si no se despierta, hacen otra vez una respiración de rescate
Until EMS relieves you.
hasta que lleguen la ambulancia.
Step 5, caring for the person. If they have woken up,
El quinto paso, tenemos que cuidar de la persona si se han despertado.
all right, you stay with the person until medical help arrives. If the person cannot sit up, you want to put them in the recovery position. You want to keep them calm, let them know not to take any more opioids. And the image here is the recovery position. You can lay them on their right side or left side. You just want to make sure that the knee is bent and the top arm is with the hand under the head so that they don't roll on their back. One of the symptoms of administering Narcan could potentially be vomiting. So you want to make sure that they don't choke if they vomit.
Entonces, ¿qué significa ponerlos en posición de rescate? Disculpen. Quédense con ellos hasta que llegue el equipo médico. Si la persona no puede sentarse, colóquenla en posición de recuperación, como está el dibujo en el slide. Mantenga a la persona tranquila, anime a la persona a no tomar más opioides y si vuelve a ocurrir una sobredosis, administre extra dosis de naloxone.
Next slide. If you administer, on the kits is a QR code, so you can scan that with your phone, and it will take you to a questionnaire to let us know that you administered, and then we can schedule a time for you to get a new kit.
Hay un programa a nivel nacional que registra cuántos Narcan se han dado. Entonces, en el kit hay un QR code, un código QR, no sé cómo se traduce en el español, donde ustedes pueden usar su teléfono y les viene un cuestionario y hay que responderlo para proveer la información de que hemos dado el naloxone a la persona.
Next slide. So resources and information. Next slide.
Los recursos e información.
One important thing is the Good Samaritan law. It protects anybody who is actively assisting someone with a medical emergency. So you will not have to worry about being prosecuted by assisting someone who is experiencing an overdose.
Entonces, el Estado de Maryland tiene la ley del buen samaritano que nos protege en instancias donde estamos dando ayuda de rescate a un individuo.
Next slide. Next slide. So how to get naloxone. So by completing this training, so we do have kits here. In the event we run out, we will have a QR code which you can scan, and it's a brief thing that you fill out for us to mail you a kit.
Al haber participado en este entrenamiento, todos ustedes califican para recibir un kit de naloxone. Si no hay suficientes, hay un QR code donde se pueden registrar para que les puedan mandar el kit de naloxone.
You can also get it from a pharmacy,
Lo pueden recibir también de una farmacia
overdose response program, or a syringe services program.
o al programa de respuesta a sobredosis de opioides o al programa de syringes.
Next slide. Okay, these are just some local resources, access to behavioral health for mental health and substance use screenings and referrals, harm reduction services if a person needs refills on Narcan or other harm reduction supports, and then peer support specialists in the county to support someone who's dealing with substance use disorder. And these are the contact information.
Okay. Y aquí tienen los números del condado que pueden acceder cuando necesitan ayudas para salud mental y abuso de sustancias. Pueden llamar al programa de acceso para recibir ayuda en cómo disminuir el riesgo del Narcan. Pueden llamar al Harm Reduction Services y también hay programas de apoyo entre pares a través del condado. Eso,
Next slide. Next slide.
eso es todo. El QR code.
And that is the training. Thank you for
Eso es todo. Gracias por participar.
the QR code is there to provide feedback about the forum. So Narcan kit distribution, where? Yeah.